Treasure, Tony, any remarks that critics made? Are there any special ones that stick in your mind?
There was one critic that said, up to now, I have thought Tony Curtis is the worst actor that ever was on the screen. He said, at last I can move him out of that position. I've got a new contender, and that's Elvis Presley. So I wrote this guy, I said, you wouldn't know a good actor if he sat on your face. I mean, what do they know? Listen, I've just come through a rehabilitation center because of drug abuse and alcoholism. And so I speak from where I know. And
everybody does good work and bad work, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
And this is what isn't taken into account.
Absolutely.
I mean, you were so
and the meaning,
wonderful in
and you know, the meaning
comes.
the meaning comes only after the work. You can't judge anything until it's all finished.
That's
you
right.
know, and a career in films is only finished after you've gone to that cutting room in the sky.
Exactly. Like Truffaut said once that making a movie was like being put aboard a runaway train. And you knew it was going to crash at the end. You just didn't know how bad the crash was going to be. It was just, you just prayed that it wasn't going to be too
Well, the award system...
Well, that's a little fancy, but we understand what the procedure is. The point I make is that so many people in the critical end of our profession are drunks, are drunkards. They're pissed all the time. They can't get through the day or get through an interview with someone without getting suckered. Because here they are interviewing somebody. They're interviewing somebody that they think is so inferior to them because she got big boobs, or he's got a lot of hair, or he's making $5,000 a week and he's only making $132 minus a week. So, I mean, how can he like you? And how is he going to print anything objective about you?
Do you usually reply to them? Do you say...
Well, I tell him to... I let him... You know, when I first started, I was much more diplomatic. No, diplomatic is the wrong word. I kissed ass so I could improve my... But then as I started to, you know, capture a little strength for myself and my own dignity as a man, and as I came through this rehabilitation center, I realized I didn't have to compromise my feelings, you know?
Yes.
Whether they liked me or didn't like me is immaterial.
Yeah.
And if I felt that negativeness, you know, when we first met, I would state it. I say, that's going to have a profound effect on what goes on between us. How many times has we all gone to a party and you run into someone, instant dislike? Look at the way she's drinking that glass. I mean, look how slovenly she looks. Look at him standing around with his head. I mean, instant hate.
Yeah.
Now, what provokes that? What crazy madness in each one of us makes us want to hate somebody we never saw in our lives?
May I talk about someone that you profess to dislike? I mean, you worked with Marilyn Monroe,
Yes.
and you've that famous remark of yours, which was that kissing her was like kissing Hitler. Right. Was that little moustache? Was she really that difficult?
Yes, she was difficult. I was, you've got to remember, she was alive when I said that.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of quotes about this woman that said after she's dead. Norman Mailer wrote a book about her. He never met her. I mean, spare me, okay? She was a pain in the ass and difficult to work with. And I'm a professional, and Jack and I had to get dressed up as women. We'd get in there at 6 in the morning, and by 9:30 we were ready to shoot. Wig, makeup, women's dresses, and we had to sit around for 4 or 5 hours waiting for Marilyn to show up. Now, the poor woman was suffering, and that's a problem for her. But still, we had to sit around all day long. And Billy Wilder said to us, now listen, guys, you better get your lines right every time, because the first time she gets it right, I'm going to print it. And if you got your finger in your nose, or he says, I'm going to print it. So, I mean, you know, the pressure on Jack and me was incredible. You know, and I just thought it was unfair. We were all making a living, you know, and she was just using her position to, you know, emulate herself, which I think is okay, but not at the neglect of other
That's true, but
people.
when you see Marilyn Monroe, I mean, she was brilliant.
She was magnificent.
Brilliant on the screen, and you remember her I mean, I never had to work with her,
Yeah,
fortunately.
but Marilyn was...
result
But
was great.
well, the result is great. I mean, you want a custard pie, you got to make it. Somebody got to make it. Somebody got to put in the sweat and tears and hardship to make it and get it together. Marilyn, there's no question about Marilyn's genius. Her ability to do what she did, you know? No question about it. Yet, by the same token, as a person, she was disagreeable.
But some people
This is
just
not
like
a,
that.
but
They-
you know
they need
something.
to
This is
behave
not a
like that,
criticism.
to-
I'm not criticizing Marilyn. Marilyn and I met when I first got to Hollywood. She was 19 and I was 21 when we first met. We saw each other for about 6, 7 weeks.
What do you mean by saw each other?
Just what I meant by
Give
it.
me the gossip here.
Well, you'll have to read Hollywood Wives to know. Hollywood Wives. This beautiful woman writes a book about Hollywood. I know more about Hollywood Wives than she does.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I had 3 of them. Now, Jackie's going to write one called The Hollywood Husbands.
Yeah,
and
you're gonna give me
I'm
some
going to be the
information.
research
Yeah,
director.
Well, what do you think? What do you think of what she's written? You've had 3
Yes.
Hollywood wives. You have 6 children. What do you think about what Jackie's written?
No, well, I haven't read the book.
So he can't comment. is
No,
that-
but I can comment. I do.
you can't unless
just
you've read
by-
the book.
I can comment by what I heard you say tonight about your book.
All right, comment
Okay.
and then I'll answer you.
No, you won't answer me.
Oh, you want to bet? You want to bet?
The first thing I noticed is you're very pro-English about Hollywood. Dudley Moore, Roger Moore, all the English are elegant and clever and have divine sense of humor. Us stupid Americans are nothing but poor. That is not a
One moment.
criticism.
No, I
It
know,
was
but
just my
I
observation.
happen to be married to an American.
Well,
It's not
nobody's
stupid.
perfect. Gotta take the good and the bad.
Very fast, Tony.
But Hollywood wives are no different than Bristol wives.
This is true. You know what we call Bristol
Wives
in
are
England.
wives are wives. Yes, a tit for is a hat. Bristol City is a titty.
I'm learning a great deal tonight.
Yes,
So am I.
program is really going up.
Now, you're a writer yourself. You wrote
Yes.
a novel, didn't you?
Yes,
And are you planning to write more?
I've got a second novel I've just finished, and I'm going to do an autobiography.
Yeah.
I had not ventured or even entertained that idea, but since I've come through this rehabilitation center, where I realize that my life has been inundated with whiskey and drugs practically all my life, and all of us have. When we were babies, I'm a Jew, and when my parents used to have our Passover ceremonies, from the time I was a kid, they poured me these big shots of Manischewitz Concord grape wine, and I get plastered sitting at the table. My face in the soup and my yarmulke falling. And everybody would say, "Look, isn't he cute?" Cute, I was drunk. That's where my history started.
But when you were, you were drunk as a child, and you had a tough background and all that. Now, suppose you hadn't clawed your way out of it,
Yes.
become a star or
Yes.
whatever, and things hadn't gone well for you. What would have become of you?
Not much.
Would you have been a criminal?
Well, could be, but I would have been too smart to get caught.
You got pretty close to it, wouldn't you?
Yes, right. But, it's very difficult to say, if you had your life to do over again, how would you do it? Well, I do it all over you is the usual joke. But, you know what, life, you can't do that, You want to use your wits. I came out of a place where I had no money. And I've learned at a very early age that what gives us our individual character and strength is an economic solidity. You got a bank book or a few quid in your kip, you got it made. You can go any restaurant you want, see what you want. That doesn't make you necessarily happy, but it certainly makes you feel better than if you weren't.
Going back to the Hollywood wives bit, I mean, you've had 3 Hollywood wives. You've also said that you had affairs with some of, or most of the most beautiful women there when they were beautiful in their
Yes.
day. You were a busy man. Do you?
6 children, 3 wives, innumerable women, 130 movies in my lifetime. There's 6 of me, you see.
How did you have time to drink?
Oh, yeah, well, there's another one of me that did that.
So what we are seeing now is a reformed Tony Curtis.
No. Reform, no. not drinking, perhaps, not doping, perhaps, but there's nothing reformed about me at all. I'm a very orthodox person. Very primitive and very simplistic. I have certain mores and tenors about myself and about relationship with women and with men, and I maintain that. And that's why the people that know me love me very much, because I give of myself. I didn't mean that.
There are people who don't know you who love you.
Yeah, but the point I want to make is that what has sustained me and helped me through these really terrible times that I've had in my life is the love that I look in both your eyes and, in your faces. Interest, attention, yours, chaps in the band, people in the audience. I hope you feel it from me, because it's a reciprocal feeling, You give each other joy and you get it back. And to me, that's the purpose of living and the life's experiences. Movies, big deal, one way or the other, Anything like that. I'm not that interested in making movies anymore. As much as I want to just live, enjoy myself, and let people enjoy me being around me, Being as entertaining as possible. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight.
Thank you for your company, and good night. See you next week.
Good night.